Hello and welcome to Weird Around Illinois. We love to tell you about UFO encounters in Illinois, and it turns out there was another big one in southwestern Illinois. We're talking, of course, about the UFO sightings near Shiloh, Illinois. So let's talk about it, and let's get weird. So, I'm ashamed to say I knew nothing about this, even though, again, I'm reading MUFON reports all the time and watching all these videos and everything. My first clue was when we went to a spot in Shiloh, Illinois, where we saw a Bigfoot statue. And behind the Bigfoot statue, we said, hey, look, there's an alien. And we walk over to the alien, and there's a placard underneath it. And it basically describes this sighting by a police officer from Shiloh, Illinois, who saw a UFO. It turns out that is not the entire story, though. It turns out this UFO was sighted not by one police officer, but by several police officers throughout the entire area. So this wasn't just like, one police officer at the end of his shift, his eyes getting a little bleary and he sees something weird. This is a legit happening in this area of Shiloh, Illinois.
Yeah, this might have, in my book, this would count as the most widespread UFO encounter in Illinois.
Well, I mean, the Tinley Park lights were pretty big, and
yeah, widespread. I mean, not the biggest, of course.
Oh, you mean in terms of area?
Yeah.
I also think it has the most credible witnesses.
Agreed, yeah.
And, well, you're going to hear as we go through this list. As a matter of fact, why don't we just start with that? Why don't we talk about the first sighting and go from there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so first is Highland, Illinois. Apparently a mini golf course owner saw what he described was a flying house with windows on the top and bottom, and this person called the police.
Yeah, there isn't. What else can you do other than call the police for some answers? I mean, something that crazy. I mean, you gotta just try and go out of your way to get something.
Yeah.
And the police officer, I believe, was Ed Barton, and he thought he was crazy when he first heard about the report.
Yeah, and later in Lebanon, Illinois,
that same officer, Ed Barton.
Same officer actually, Ed Barton. He responded to that, and he was wondering if the guy was drunk. I mean, that's understandable, to be honest.
It is, but at least he went. Because a lot of times they'll hang up on somebody and say, go sleep this one off, pal.
Yeah, I mean, I know in Illinois we have really good police officers for sure, but still, at 4:21 a.m., not a lot of police officers would probably go to that.
Right. Or they'd say they went to that and never pull out of where they were parked.
Yeah. But it's a good thing he did, because he reported seeing a huge object in the sky that was triangular and was longer than it was wide, with 3 lights and 1 red light. It all sort of seemed connected, or just connected. And it accelerated away at a high speed southwest to Shiloh, Illinois.
And that brings us back to Shiloh, where the officer who is mentioned in the placard, police officer David Martin, he was on the lookout for the object because he'd been getting these police calls from neighboring departments. And by the way, this is what police do. I mean, they if they're following a speeder or something, they don't just, when the speeder hits the town line, they say, okay, we're done. They call it ahead and they pass it on to the next department and the next one and the next one. They're in constant communication with each other, and it's the same thing with something weird like a UFO sighting. And so he's on the lookout. He sees something that was very similar to what was described before, kind of the triangular shape. And then he claimed the object was moving very slow, and then it sped off at amazing speed.
Yeah.
These are really interesting because they're so similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I know the first one, I'm pretty sure it was listed as like a flying house that he saw. But in the sketches I saw in the video, it was more like a disc with several lights on it.
Mm.
So yeah, it's very similar to what these people are describing.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like it was more described as a mothership than anything.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is at 4:21, there's probably not much light in the sky at all. So probably what this guy was seeing was a cluster of weird lights, and he's trying to reconcile in his brain what he's seeing. And he's describing it as like lights through windows or something, and the nearest term he could think of to describe it is a house. But as time is going on, it's getting a little lighter and a little lighter. And plus, we're getting trained observers in these police officers who know, they don't just look at it and say, that's a house. No, they look at it and they say that thing's 1,000 to 1,500 feet off the ground. It's triangular in shape. There's 3 white lights and 1 red light. They're holding formation. And again, that's why these are such credible witnesses.
Yeah. And there is also a sighting in Millstadt, Illinois. Mm-hmm. Officer Craig Stevens apparently picked it up and reported next. He managed to snap a picture with his Polaroid camera.
Do you guys even know what a Polaroid camera is?
Yeah, it's just a disposable camera, isn't it?
It like prints out pictures at the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I was really worried for a minute there.
Yeah, apparently it showed only like some blurry lights against a dark black background.
That's a shame because, when a police officer takes a picture, you're thinking, okay, we finally got evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super convincing.
No.
So he says that he could hear low-frequency buzzing noise that seemed to be related to the craft, which is something we didn't really hear from the other people, at least from what I've watched. They kind of just heard nothing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's better than nothing. At least we have a sign of maybe an engine or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some technology. And I want to go back. When was this again?
This was in 2000. This was January of 2000, so it was really cold out.
Okay. Yeah. I just found it really interesting. A Polaroid camera was pulled out by a police officer instead of like a body cam or something.
Yeah. That's the shame of it. If this had been modern day, all these police would have had body cams and they could have corroborated everything they were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes to show the 25 years, that's changed a lot for police officers.
Yeah.
But once more, this keeps going. At least one time over in Dupo, Illinois, Officer Matt Janey reported seeing something. They weren't entirely sure. They could see some form of light in the sky that was probably moving pretty irregularly, but nothing to quite identify.
I found that statement, and this was his official statement, I believe, that he saw something at 5:03 a.m. That's kind of a classic police officer catch-all that, okay, look, I don't want you to think I'm crazy because I didn't see any lights or houses or any of that nonsense, but there was something, so please don't put any of these guys on leave or send them in for psych evaluations. That there was a light in the sky or something. Just let's leave it at something.
Yeah, please don't hurt me, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean that progression of events. I mean, if you look at it from the first police report to the last, it was less than an hour. It was more like 40 minutes or so.
Yeah,
42 minutes. I read somewhere that the total sighting length was over an hour, so I'm guessing it took a little time for that first officer to respond after the call came in from the mini golf course. But in that 1 hour, we've got actual tracking taking place from place to place to place by credible witnesses of an object in the sky, a large object, probably triangular shaped. Other witnesses would call in too, but they didn't list those because they've got these, and these were taken at the time, and these other ones could have been just witnesses piling on, like, oh yeah, I saw that too. Mm-hmm. But the object disappeared a little more than an hour after the confirmed sightings. Somebody decided to celebrate this in kind of a weird way.
What?
Well, remember the thing you were watching earlier, the musical thing.
Oh, you're talking about the Illinois, the Illinois song.
Yes.
Oh my
God. John Stevens.
Yeah, that was such a wacky song. Yeah. So basically, I didn't even get to get a good look into the YouTube channel that did that, but somebody made a full song on the Shiloh UFO sightings that we've just talked about. It was so weird for me to be listening to that just earlier today.
Weird.
Yeah. And also the cover for it was pretty cool, like the logo.
Oh, nice. I caught bits and pieces of it. My volume was a little low when I was listening to it, so I'm sure I didn't get all the lyrics. But
it was a somewhat slow song. Typical, I think it was just piano.
Mm-hmm. Well, as always with UFO sightings, there's controversy. And I'll tell you guys about the first controversy about this. A lot of people tried to debunk it and say that what was seen was a blimp. Because as it turns out, there's a blimp factory nearby. And blimps can have all kinds of lights on them and even message boards on them and everything else. And, in 2000, we're not talking about the type of technology we have now, but still it could be carrying a message board and it could easily have, 4 lights in a triangular shape.
Yeah.
The problem is that they contacted the blimp company and they said they had nothing in the air that night. So, unless somebody stole a blimp, but I'm sure that would have made the news too.
Yeah, I remember hearing at least one of the police officers said that was not a blimp.
Ah, there you go.
So were there a lot of blimps back in 2000?
Not to my recollection.
Didn't really think so. I thought those went away that I don't even know. At least by the 50s at the earliest.
Occasionally you'd see one like over a football game or something, but that was pretty much it. I mean, it's not like, people were riding blimps to work or something.
That'd be so wacky.
Yeah. But, the other bit of controversy, and this one, I mean, this one we can address directly because we've been there. It involves Scott Air Force Base, which is right next to Shiloh, Illinois, or technically in Shiloh, Illinois, I believe. And they are basically rumored to be involved in a cover-up of this incident. And the major reason is because there are multiple stories coming out either from Scott Air Force Base or from people who claim to talk to Scott Air Force Base that are contradicting each other. You've got one story that talks about the base itself, saying it's got a 24-hour, fully staffed control tower, but they claim nobody was on duty at the time due to an unexplained suspension of operations.
That sounds like they couldn't find a real excuse, so they just said, yeah, I think just something went wrong with our communications.
I find that hard to believe because we saw so many cars driving from the airport.
Yeah. There's a pretty huge amount of people working there, and just to backtrack a minute, if a major U.S. Air Force airfield can just randomly shut down their control tower for unknown reasons for hours at a time, that scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't they be up watching for enemy planes or enemy drones or making sure our pilots land safely or something? I mean, to just say, okay, 4:00 in the morning, nothing on the radar, I'm gonna go take a snooze. Wake me up at 7.
Yeah, either way, that raises some concern, and it's not good.
Yeah.
So was that the airport where there's the museum to the side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all
like
right.
the outdoor plane museum.
Yeah, my memory has been jogged, finally.
Oh, good. I was worried about you for a while there. Yeah, it's the Scott Air Force Base Heritage Air Force Museum, I think it's called.
Yeah, Air Park.
Heritage Air Park.
I think the heat just got into my brain, just was starting to seep away from that entire thing.
Yeah, so now you can picture the place, and that leads me to the second statement made, and I believe this was made in a documentary about this incident. They said that Scott Air Force Base is primarily a hospital base with a small airfield, and it has no operations at 4 a.m.
What manager came up with that?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, it's in the title, Scott Air Force Base. It's not Scott Hospital and Airstrip.
Well, heck, it was in a whole movie. It was in Rampage.
Yeah, that's true. In Rampage, that's where they're like sending the transport planes out of.
Yeah, and they're a whole bunch of jets and everything.
Yeah, it's a serious airport. They can't just add a title to it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've been to Wright-Patterson, which is, a very well-known Air Force base in the U.S., and this one looked more active to me than Wright-Patterson did. I mean, Wright-Patterson looked, it looked like they were buttoned down for the month or something. I didn't see anything moving there, but this place had planes taking off and landing and people driving all over the place. And
I didn't even see any planes, to be honest, but I could certainly agree with all the cars going back and forth.
If it was a hospital, would just random civilians be able to go in and out of there and just like,
I don't know.
my arm just got cut off, I need help, and just go into there because it's the last resort?
I don't know, but I mean, judging by the way they were watching traffic at the gate, my quick answer would be probably not.
Then what's the point?
Yeah. So I think we can pretty much, just based on our own observation, debunk that story about it not being a real airbase.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anybody who's ever served there knows that it's a real airbase as well. So then we've got the St. Clair Police radio dispatcher, who claims that he called Scott Air Force Base and asked them to track the object on radar, and they said they couldn't see it on the radar, which is believable because a lot of UFOs don't show up on radar.
Okay.
The problem is that when they later reporters asked Scott Air Force Base personnel if, what had happened, what they tracked, they said they had no knowledge of this sighting. Nobody had talked to them about the sighting. They were completely unaware of it. And they reported that we no longer have radar on the field, and the control tower personnel were not on duty at that hour.
Oh no, it's all falling down. It's all falling apart.
Yeah.
Mayday.
Yeah. I'm suddenly feeling a lot less safe here in Illinois.
Yeah. Don't want to take a plane through that airport.
No, and I hope no enemies take a plane through this area either, because
Yeah.
radar, we took that down years ago. What do we need radar for?
We'd be safer at O'Hare with Mothman at that point.
Yeah.
Or their UFOs.
Yeah, so all I could say is, please, God, let this be a cover-up, and don't let our military be this incompetent. Please, let's hope it was a test aircraft, or let's hope it was an alien and they were tracking it the whole way, and they're whatever. Just please let this be something more than it appears to be, because if this is our air defense, we're in trouble, big trouble.
First time we're praying for it to actually be aliens.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, what are your conclusions about this particular sighting?
I think it's pretty obvious they're trying to hide something, whether it's the hospital or something else to have whatever's going on with the radar. I don't know. Yeah, it just seems really fishy. But yeah, aside from the airport incident, everything else is just so widespread. For a bunch of police officers to all confirm, I guess, somewhat similar reports, or at least, really close, clustered together in terms of time, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I think Scott Air Force Base is probably definitely hiding something. Because there's a lot of rumors that Wright Patterson is hiding a whole lot of UFO material and stuff. So
Yeah.
I bet they're hiding a lot too.
Our listener even suggested that they could have been involved in his Dogman sighting.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I have to say that this is one of the more credible UFO sightings that I've heard, just based on the witnesses and the consistency of their accounts and their expertise in being trained observers. I agree that this reeks of a cover-up. I mean, the blimp explanation, I would almost be willing to buy, but you got police officers saying it's not a blimp, and you'd think if they work in that area near the blimp factory, they would have seen a blimp before.
Yeah.
The other thing is that if it were a blimp, I think Scott Air Force Base would have been really quick to say, oh yeah, it was a blimp. We see those all the time. But instead, they give this weird cockamamie story about, we had nobody in the tower. I don't know if we had a tower. We're not really an airfield. It's really just a big Pizza Hut. It's I have never heard anyone throw together such a ridiculous explanation of why they didn't see something in the air before. So yeah, I'm gonna go with real sighting on this one.
Yeah.
And it makes me kind of regret that we didn't spend more time watching the skies while we were there, but honestly, it was so cloudy, and we're still dealing with Canadian wildfires, so I don't know that we would have had a clear view anyway.
Yeah,
it was too hot for me.
My question is, why didn't we see a blimp?
Yeah,
Why?
good point.
I would have loved to see one.
Yeah, I think the company's still there. It changed hands once, but I think it's still in operation. So, yeah, if they're flying blimps all the time, you'd think we would have seen one. We were driving all over that place.
Yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, I've seen a couple air balloons. I guess it's the closest I'll ever get.
Well, don't give up hope.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a question of what you're going to see first: a blimp, a dogman, a UFO, or a Bigfoot.
I may see a UFO. Actually, I've already seen a UFO.
That's
first.
true. You
Oh,
have,
crap.
yeah. You've already seen a UFO and a shadow person. So,
Yeah.
yeah, blimp is kind of sliding down the list here.
Yeah.
So that was our take on the UFO sighting in Shiloh, Illinois in 2000. If any of you witnessed that sighting directly, or if any of you have worked at Scott Air Force Base and can confirm that it's not a 7-Eleven or a Pizza Hut or a hospital of some sort, then by all means, please do so. But we're pretty confident it's an air base. But as always, we thank you for listening and thank you for subscribing, and look forward to hearing your stories in the future.